More Apple Watch as a medical device discussion, Apple at NAB or not, and Macstock. This is MacVoices. This edition of MacVoices is supported by Text Expander by Smile, the makers of world-class software. Visit textexpander.com/podcast to learn more and download your free demo. Welcome to MacVoices. This is the talk of the Apple community, and I'm Chuck Joyner. This is part 3 and the final part of our discussion of Apple's quarterly financial results, where we wrap up a conversation that started in part 2 about the Apple Watch as a medical device or almost medical device. We also look at whether Apple will attend NAB, and if they do, what the implications are, and very briefly touch on the upcoming Macstock. So let's go back and let the panel do the talking.
I thought the insurance company was who I did not want to get private information.
Well, that's a fair point, Jim. But
very true. Very
but
true.
Jay, there's a precedent for that already to some degree, because there are companies out there that are offering incentives for you to have an Apple Watch. Yeah. Again, I'm not as excited over this becoming a medical device. And Jim, I respect your knee thing with the EKG, but at the end of the day, if I can get all of that strapped on my wrist, and
well, the problem is you physically cannot. The thing about the reason why it's on the knee is it's allowing. See, when you do an EKG with your watch, basically, you know how you touch this. There's a reason why you're touching. It's because that's getting this hand and this hand, and it's the electricity is running, so you can only get 2 leads because there's only 2 places where the watch is touching. When they go to the watch is on your wrist. That's it. It's not, there's no way something on your wrist can touch not on your wrist other than this. So the point of, and I think it was the knee, but it definitely touched more places. That was the point, was that it's actually touching your body, and so it can get currents in your body. So there's no way that could be a wrist device. But they're using the same kind of technology, and making an affordable device that actually, is a much better. This would only be somebody that's worried, like maybe they're already a heart patient, or this is not for the general public. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and see, that's exactly my point, that, if I have a condition, I'm probably going to want to buy a higher grade of piece of equipment to monitor that condition. But if I can strap an Apple Watch on my wrist and have some level of indication and monitoring of some of these issues, and again, Mike said it really well. Every time we come out, we have a call or a news story. An Apple Watch saved my life. Well, yeah, that's great, because they had an Apple Watch, and the odds are that maybe it really did save their life, and they probably would not have invested in any other piece of hardware that could have had that, because the way I've read that, and I know at least one person, and it's a friend of some of ours, that the Apple Watch sent him to the doctor, and he absolutely believes it saved his life, because he didn't know he had a problem. And the doctor said, yeah, you got a problem, and they were able to fix it. So
I just thought it was interesting that this device was available. I don't think it has anything to do with the watch. I was actually searching for blood pressure cuffs that had Bluetooth, and this came up. Because there's some blood pressure cuffs now that do EKG. So Amazon's algorithm was like, oh, here's another thing and I was like, what? And it's only been out like less than a year, I think. So, I had no idea that there even was such a device at any price. In some cases, Apple's got such scale that, they can make things. It may be the best thing just because, Apple is, got such huge scale that they can do things that no other company can do.
I think bringing it back to Apple, there's features they can add, more sensors, to the phone, to the watch, that will improve health monitoring. It's clear that that's a big and important thing to them. So, whatever they do, we'll see what happens and comes up in the future.
Yeah. It's going to have to be a general thing, though. It's not going to be a specific medical thing. I don't think Apple wants anything to do with that world.
I agree.
I went to Washington, D.C. to lobby on behalf of the Council for Exceptional Children one time because insurance companies will pay, at the time it was $6,800 for an assistive augmentative communication device, one of those boards where you push the buttons and it says the words.
So an iPad.
Pay for an iPad. With Proloco on it.
Yep. Webb in the chat room says wearables are used a lot in Europe with life insurance. Several U.S. companies are piloting this here. Yeah, absolutely, Webb.
Webb, is that life insurance or health insurance?
Not mine.
Yeah, Webb, feel free to respond to that. I think you're talking about health, but I'll let Webb tell me. Oh, did he? Okay. Waiting for Webb.
But anyway,
I saw that.
I don't know. Do you want to move on to another topic?
Mark, before we do, there was one other statement, though, that was made in the call that really, I just thought was impressive. That between Mac and iPad, just taking those two, they are the equivalent of a Fortune 100 company.
Fortune 50, I think.
50.
Or even
Fortune
just
50
either one of them, right?
50, yes.
Wouldn't
Fortune 50,
even
okay.
either one by themselves?
I think they said taken together they were Fortune 50. I think Chuck, focused on Fortune 100 because so many people do, but
nope, you're right.
Like
Fortune 50. Fortune 50. Yeah. So, I mean, just think about that. And the
That's
iPad,
like a $60 million a year business, $70 million a year business.
And the Mac and iPad do not represent the majority of where Apple's getting its revenue and its profits.
Wasn't it like 20%, both of those combined?
Something like that. Close. Yeah. That was about it, Mike.
iPhone, 49%.
Time to put Tim Apple near the Carmen line, I guess. I don't know.
So if I were to channel Steve Jobs, I would say, stock buybacks and dividends and all sorts of screens, stock buybacks and dividends and all sorts of screens. What is it? Are you getting it? It's Apple.
Well, and they talked about stock buybacks and the dividend. I think 22 cents a share.
22 cents. Yeah. 22 cent dividend.
20, which is a pretty darn nice dividend, so. And Webb did respond, life insurance, and Webb says he's in the business. So there you go. Yeah, Mark, do you have a particular topic in mind? Because I know we had one other one on the slate for this evening.
Oh, I was just going to make, just sort of a human interest comment that, it seems to me maybe Luca is getting a voice coach because his accent seems to be less thick and Italianate than in past calls.
Yeah. It did seem clearer.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess I was just listening to the content, not.
Oh, I just read the transcript.
I listened to the content, and it was a lot easier to understand.
Yeah, he's writing a lot better in English.
I always try to detect though whether Tim or Luca get frustrated with the analyst questions. I think this time I didn't hear any annoyance.
Oh, Tim seemed good.
Yeah. I thought I heard
they're paid well not to be annoyed
with some of these questions. I thought some of them seemed maybe just a little bit of fatigue of here we go again.
Yeah. Well, there is that. Yeah, because I don't know. They're asking them to predict things that you and I could guess. You and I can guess what the supply chain problems are going to be in the next 6 or 8 months. And we have as good a chance, probably maybe not quite as good, but a pretty darn good chance of guessing. Because I know how many things that I'm interested in. I've got a friend that has a truck dealership and they can't get trucks. The trucks, there are incomplete trucks sitting at the factory waiting for certain pieces. And, as soon as they get those pieces, they'll be able to ship them. But until they get them, they can't. So it drives you crazy. The other topic,
like reporters.
Go ahead, Mark. There, Jim.
I was going to say it's kind of like reporters going to somebody, their house just burned down, stick a mic in their face. Well, how does it feel?
Yeah.
Senator, when did you stop beating your wife?
The other topic I had on the list for tonight may not cause a lot of discussion, but that is that Apple is going back to the NAB show in October, the National Association of Broadcasters. And the last time, this is the first time in 10 years, the last time they were there was when they introduced a 64-bit version of Final Cut, which of course was the big controversial changeover from the old Final Cut architecture to
Final
the new.
Cut 10. Yeah, they got spanked.
Yeah. So, this is really interesting to me because I think it's going to be interesting to see, are they going back as someone who publishes content creation tools, or are they going back because of Apple TV Plus and the Emmys and all that they're doing there?
I think Apple TV Plus. I think they're really pushing hard, getting into studios, getting original content. That this is all related to broadcasting, national broadcasters, and really I think that's where they're going with that. This was my gut feeling.
So I had so you announced this in this morning on the chat for the Slack channel for a bunch of topics, and during the call they talked about their podcasts that it took off, and they really didn't share any more information other than I'm sure it's Apple, it took off, and it's great, and that made me think that okay, they've got all these high power tools for editing, creation, and playback, that maybe they want to try to do a thing for analogous for publishing of small budget or indie videos and publish it directly, analogous to what they're trying to do for podcasting. So that's the only thought I had, that maybe would justify actually being at the show to be enough of a sponsor and presence to get enough coverage for their thing that they announce, if they do. Other than that, I'll just take my imagination offline and go back to somebody else.
I really think they're there to hawk their originals. I just finished watching I don't know if you guys watched Lisi's story.
Lisi's story? Nobody. Yeah. I almost looked at that. Is it good? Is it worth watching?
Oh, it's phenomenal. And I'll tell you why. Because I've seen other Stephen King projects, and the studios always screw them up. And what they let King do here is they took his novel, they let him pick the director and the star, and he wrote the teleplay.
Whoa.
Nothing went by his eyes without his okay. So it was purely, like, if it failed, it was purely on him. But now we actually got to see his vision, and not a vision that some corporation thought would bring in more, bucks.
Yeah.
And artistically, that's just phenomenal. I mean, look at Ted Lasso, 20 Emmy nominations.
Yeah. But Mark, you weren't here last week, but we talked a little bit about the Pocket Cast acquisition by Automatic. And I had not thought about running a parallel model, Apple wanting to maybe do sort of what we speculated on, was to create almost a one-stop shop for, production and delivery. And so that has a certain amount of appeal to me. I'm not sure if they perceive the audience to be large enough, but on the other hand, they've talked about unleashing people's creativity. That would fit in very well with that message.
It would fit.
Well, I think it's for them, it's probably more of a marketing expense, to try to focus on this type of market, because it seems that they have the pieces in their software portfolio as well as their devices. So this seems more like a marketing effort, and maybe they need to do something, maybe a little bit something different to deliver video files instead of audio files. But it seems to me that this is a way that if they want to sort of squeeze out, players like, Amazon, Netflix, and increasingly Roku, that by emphasizing, what they have and focusing on, small creators, because it seems right now what we're seeing is, big talent with big ideas, but I'm a little skeptical. At some point, all these ideas are going to run out, and then it's going to be going back to who are the small ingenious indies who have a great story and a great vision, because
that may be the next step.
Today's edition of Mac Voices is supported by Smile, the makers of Text Expander for Mac, iPhone, and iPad. Text Expander is the best way to get more productive with your Mac. A few keystrokes can correctly enter your phone number, your address, a paragraph of text, or a page of code into whatever you're working on. And it does it the first time and every time correctly and in a flash. That means no more fat fingering information that you know so well. You do that by setting up what Text Expander calls snippets. You set the content of the snippet, you decide what keystrokes or phrase you will use to trigger your snippet, and you're done. Your snippet is now ready to use. If you're a one-person operation, that can be an incredible time saver. But if you're in business, Text Expander's value jumps exponentially. Now, when a team member uses your snippet, not only do you get accuracy, but also consistency for whatever your snippet is about. A service call response, a tech support answer, Text Expander makes sure that what you once said is what is said. Find out how Text Expander can make a difference for you and for your business at textexpander.com/podcast. Click the link now and you can be starting to tap the power of Text Expander in just a few minutes. textexpander.com/podcast. Check it out. Thanks to Smile, the makers of Text Expander, for their support of Mac Voices.
I'm kind of puzzled. Apple is not listed as an exhibitor on the NAB site.
They may be slow to update the site, because it's just news broke just, I think, Thursday or Friday last week.
Yeah.
If it's like any of the exhibitor portals that I've seen, it won't show up for another 2 months.
And
I do notice
2 months away.
I do notice that the other exhibitors I see, it's not for content. It's all technical stuff. Like they're trying to sell you some equipment or service, or there's
that's
not
NAB
usually
for you. That's
well,
Jim,
yeah. So I'm thinking, maybe once it was in Anaheim.
Because there's everybody there from the little guys that's made this little L-shaped piece of metal for antennas to all the editing suites and storage and everything else.
Right. Well, that's what I would expect. But you're talking about them going as Apple TV Plus, and I don't see anybody. Like I don't see any HBO or Paramount or none of those people seem to be exhibitors.
Somebody else said Apple TV Plus. So I'm thinking I'm thinking
I'm talking to the group here, not to you.
Okay.
Well, I'm thinking that maybe they're also trying to push, and I know there's been a lot of like at Telluride and Austin, South by Southwest, and there's been a lot of films done in China on iPhones and stuff. Now, you still need a crew that knows how to light. You still need actors that know what they're doing. You know how people to do everything. But
guys,
they may be able to enter that arena for certain people, because I've been to NAB maybe 3 times. And I remember when digital cameras first came out, and we were gobsmacked. But now, if you can all of a sudden give me an iPhone, particularly now they're saying that the next generation are all going to have optical stabilization, and some of the glass you can buy for iPhones now. I don't see why they don't put their foot in there and say, hey, here's an option if you're an indie and you can make something look really sharp.
Late breaking news. Google NAB 2021 Apple. There's stories from like yesterday and the last couple of days, Apple to attend. And then there's stories from the last 12 hours saying, update, Apple is not attending.
Oh, really? Okay, Chuck, you can delete, you can erase all this.
Yeah, well,
cut this out and post.
The one thing you can count on, though, I mean, because NAB is a place where the broadcast industry goes not just to exhibit for any of us that attend, but that also they go to make deals and they go to have meetings and in hotel suites that you and I will never see, and their private dinners that you and I will never see. And so you better believe that there's going to be Apple representation there of some kind. It may not be official. And that's been that way for years, that
Sure.
Some of us have known, who some of the Apple people were that were in attendance, but they weren't necessarily officially attending or officially exhibiting or anything like that. I'd be shocked if they decided not to. Yeah, well, maybe so, Jim. I don't know, but it would be a surprise if they didn't have some kind of presence, official exhibiting or not. And Mike, you had something you wanted to throw in.
This is an interesting about face, because normally Apple doesn't get quoted, or actually I don't know if Apple ever said it. There's just a lot of rumors about Apple doing it, and now it's being smacked down. But
yeah,
this is so the way it goes.
Yeah, Mike.
I don't expect this, but I would love to see them announce the next version of Final Cut. I've seen the rumors out there that is coming, and it makes so much sense when they've released an iPad that's built off of the same processor as these MacBooks. I mean, a 13-inch iPad Pro with that beautiful display running something besides LumaFusion for video editing is like a no-brainer.
Hey, LumaFusion just announced 3.0 today.
I know, it's an incredible app. Apple should have something for that platform.
Well, Apple now, I just heard a thing today that they're also going to release Logic, and they've now rewritten Logic from the ground up so you can mix things in spatial audio.
Of course, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, that's like the perfect place to go.
Maybe so they'll be friendly to the indies out there that are doing podcasts, and they'll make GarageBand good for podcast editing again.
Yeah.
Possible. I don't know. I mean, there are plenty of reasons. We can sit here and speculate all we want. There are plenty of reasons they could go, that they should go. Will they go is another matter. Or do they prefer to, do something where they're not competing for attention, where they either throw their own event or they just do their own particular announcements and let the press go crazy with them. Yeah.
Makes sense. You're going, Chuck, no matter what.
I am scheduled to go. Yes. I'm looking forward to it. I sincerely hope that the Delta variant issues don't cause an issue. That's the only thing.
Sorry, horizon. Remind me again, what were the dates?
Oh boy, Mark. It's
October.
October
9th through the 13th.
Oh, there you go.
Bring me back some LEDs.
It's not my budget this year.
Yeah. Well, NAB is kind of an interesting show. If you're not interested in video production or creation, you can go to Stargaze, but who wants to do that? It's much more interesting if you can go, and I always enjoy the post-production world track for training. That's always great. But it's also fun to go out on the show floor. Yeah, and look at cameras that I will never, ever have a use for. But also, you stumble across some interesting little things that might make your life easier. So
also, you find gear. I found when we used to go, like I said, digital was just starting to blossom. It was just coming out. All of a sudden, you see one booth doing one thing, another booth trying to compete against that in the digital space, and they're just coming up with ideas that you're just... wow. And then that triggers stuff inside your head if you're a writer or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
Your mind just starts going all over the place.
Well, and if you're a podcaster, depending on just how seriously you're taking it, I mean, I guess the last NAB I went to, there were plenty of booths. David, you have the Rode Procaster there beside you, or no?
Yeah, the Rode Procaster Pro, yeah.
Procaster Pro, yeah, there were places showing that. Zoom was showing something very similar.
They're 8-track.
Yeah, podcasting was a big deal. Not the Zoom we're using, Frank, but the Zoom as in the Zoom recorders.
Zoom audio company.
Yeah. So, there are a lot of different facets to NAB. It's not just, the broadcast TV stuff.
No, I've
we did a session together once.
So.
Sorry, Mark.
And then you and I did a session once years ago about getting sponsors for your podcast
with Frederick Van Johnson. Yeah.
Yep. One of the podcast tracks within NAB.
Yeah. So
or within your future meeting training track within NAB.
Yeah. So there are a lot of reasons to go to NAB, but it's not one that you could just go casually to. You really, I think, have to have a reason.
You have to be focused.
But going to Vegas is a good enough reason.
Right. It's even more. Yeah. It's even more focused than going to CES. Where CES you could probably find something of interest no matter what you're doing. NAB, it's
very focused.
It's
right down there.
Broadcasters and creators.
Yeah. Yeah. Is anybody else here planning to go?
I don't know. I have to say, I don't know.
Okay.
Can you slip me in your luggage?
No, I try to travel light for that one, Frank.
I will bring fluids.
Frank, do you have an AirPod, to so we can make sure you don't get lost?
Southwest, don't get me started on AirPods or AirTags.
AirTags,
yeah. Hopefully, I'm going to Woodstock a couple weeks before that.
You're going to what?
Hopefully, I'm going to Woodstock a couple weeks before that. Wink, wink.
Really?
Woodstock or Appstock?
Macstock.
Yeah.
Woodstock, Illinois. Macstock.
Woodstock, Illinois.
Macstock's going to be virtual this year again, right?
Not completely. They're allowing 60 people. They just got the email yesterday.
Got that cafe.
And I'm going to be his co-host.
I saw the film.
When is that?
September 25th.
That's right.
I can't travel.
And I can't go that day because I'm going to the Van Gogh exhibit.
Chicago?
Where's that?
Well, they have that immersive Van Gogh thing that's traveling the country.
Oh.
And I was going to attend virtually, and I thought, wow, great. And then I saw it was the same day. I was like,
Which city are you going to see it in?
Philadelphia.
Philadelphia, okay.
Hop, skip, and jump across the water.
Paul just put in the chat room, Apple stock is 143.70 in after hours trading. So, interesting.
Always
Craig says Macstock. Yay. Guys, this has been fun. Thank you so much. We went down some really weird rabbit holes as far as the financial call, but I like it because it just goes to show you, the way our heads work and, how you can take things beyond just the financials and see where they take you. So I want to go around the room, let you tell folks where they can find you when you're not here, and then we'll hit the trail. So I'm going to flip it around this time, but Jay still gets to be first because he turned his camera on and off. So
that's the trick.
Jay is always first.
Jay figured it out. All right, Jay, where can we find you?
So relay.fm/conduit, the show where we talk about productivity without talking about the apps. And then my YouTube channel where we talk about the apps without talking about the productivity. See how I balanced the two? It's just great like that.
Such a smooth segue.
Okay, that works. Thanks for being here, Jay. Appreciate it.
Always.
Mark Fuccio can't decide whether he's a bull or a bear, so he's right in the middle. Mark, where can folks find you?
Twitter at MarkFuccio at Mark Fuccio.
Great. Thanks for being here, Mark.
Thanks for the invite.
Jim Ray, I don't want to know what you have connected to your knees. Where can folks find you?
I didn't buy one of those things.
Well, I didn't say that. I don't know what else you might have connected. So
there's nothing connected to my knees.
Just keep them together.
I am wearing pants. In Jeff's honor.
Jim can't get pregnant.
Yeah.
I wish Jeff was here. He'd be able to fill that spot right now.
He'd be all over that. Where can we find you, Jeff?
This is all in Jeff's honor. Jeff, we salute you. ProView.com and ProView Jim on Twitter, ProView Jim.
Great. Thanks for being here, Jim. Appreciate it. Mike Schmitz, it was a real pleasure. I hope that you will come back more often when what'd you say, as the stars aligned?
Yeah, soccer practice was canceled for me tonight. I am coaching my oldest two sons are on the same middle school team. So since I had the night off, I figured I may as well.
Good. You are clearly someone.
Let's go and see these guys.
You are clearly someone who has their priorities in the right place. Good job. Good job.
Time on your hands.
Where can folks find you?
Most of the writing that I do happens at thesweetsetup.com. You can find links to all the podcasts and things on my personal site, which is faithbasedproductivity.com. Since I've been here, I have a new Twitter name. I am no longer at Bobblehead Joe, which made no sense and just confused people. Is now _ Mike Schmitz.
_ Mike Schmitz. Okay, I'll change. I'll change
Where do I
everything.
start the petition to change that back?
Yeah. Now I got to go rewrite everything.
I got to go follow you now.
People and their professionalism.
Yeah,
Get
really.
that out of here.
Really? So, okay, folks. So make sure you go and to Twitter and follow _ Mike Schmitz. That's important.
Done with Bobblehead Joe.
Yeah. Thank you,
Where
Mike.
did you go, Bobblehead Joe?
Good to see you. Mr. Ginsburg, where can folks find you?
You can find me at In Touch with iOS at intouchwithios.com. You also can find me on the Mac Show on the British Tech Network on Fridays. You find me on my YouTube channel at youtube.com/DaveG65. And you can find me on Twitter at DaveG65. Thank you, as always, for having me.
Hey, it's always a pleasure. Last but not least, the man who did not get a haircut. He had me worried earlier pre-show, Frank Petrie. Where can we find you, Frank?
Well, not at the barber, that's for sure. You can find me here on Tuesday nights. I write a monthly review for Screencast Online magazine. You can get me on Twitter at FPetrie. You can get me on Instagram at PHRANKY, and I have my own blog at ympnow.com.
Great.
And thanks for having me here.
Hey, thank you for being here. Really appreciate it. I also want to definitely say thanks to the chat room for all their comments and contributions. You guys are always welcome. It's always great to see you. We really appreciate you showing up on Tuesday nights. Folks, you could join them in the chat room. All you have to do is go to youtube.com/MacVoicesTV Tuesday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. That's when we do what we do here. We'd love to have you. Until the next time, and as always, thanks for watching. Visit MacVoices.com for show notes and to connect with Chuck on social media. Get involved in our Facebook group or like our Facebook page, and get more out of your Apple tech with MacVoices Magazine, free on Flipboard and on the web. And if you find value in it all, consider supporting us through either our Patreon campaign at patreon.com/MacVoices or by making a one-time donation via the PayPal link on our front page and in the show notes of each episode. You will join these fine people who help bring you Mac Voices. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media at backbeatmedia.com. Bandwidth provided by CacheFly at cachefly.com.